Hi everyone, this is Deb Tim, a Canadian girl. Today as I was making my rounds feeding all my cichlids, I started thinking about the variety of foods I feed them and when I feed them, and you know what? They've got a pretty good diet. So I thought I'd share that with you. So stay tuned and I'll be right with you. In this wonderful fish keeping hobby, the available varieties to choose from can be overwhelming. Regardless of the fish you choose to specialize in, diet is a very important part of their well-being. Feeding your cichlids can be quite simple if keeping them in a species-only tank, like this 75-gallon Mbuna community I have here. However, many of us prefer to combine the different species whose diets also differ. For this reason, we must be very conscious of what we are feeding, making sure to fulfill each species' nutritional needs. Cichlids can be broken down into 4 dietary groups. There are the predators, known as the piscivores, who hunt down fish. There are micropredators who hunt their food as well, but in a much smaller form, such as plankton and small invertebrates. Next we have the omnivores, who eat both plants and animals, and finally the herbivores, or grazers. Truthfully, these names are just dietary categories that we have given these fish. Each fish group, no matter what label we put on them, still need to eat a variety to give them all they need nutritionally. The carnivores may prefer the hunt, but they still require a certain amount of vegetable matter in their diets, just as the grazers need a source of protein in theirs. In nature, they will eat anything that comes along as a potential food source. The bottom line here is that cichlids will pretty much eat anything. Because of their eagerness to eat, they are easily adapted to a variety of commercial foods such as flakes, pellets, frozen foods, and freeze-dried foods. As for live foods, it is unnecessary unless you are acclimatizing wild-caught predatory or micropredatory cichlids. However, there are always those who believe otherwise. Most often the breeder will have had them acclimatized before you even get them. Many of you know I have a worm bin, and from that I do give my cichlids live worms. This I do sparingly and only as a special treat. There is one area that many of us struggle with. In nature, there are no set meal times. Cichlids forage for morsels, eating fibrous materials, algae, and other organic waste or debris constantly throughout their day. The food available to them in the wild contains very little nutritional value, forcing the cichlids to feed non-stop in order to meet their metabolic needs. Having this no-limit feeding pattern hardwired into their systems through nature, it's an instinctual response that they are forever looking to be fed. Because we are feeding our cichlids top-notch food with all the required nutrients far beyond what they would ever find in nature, it is vitally important that we do not let them trick us into believing they are hungry. In this case, less is more. The ideal way to feed your cichlids is 3 times a day, but very sparingly. However, not many of us can adjust our lives to the needs of our cichlids' meal times. So the next best choice is to feed twice a day. I take the amount I would feed for a day and split it into 2 feedings. In other words, feeding twice a day, they would still only be getting what they would need in a single feeding, but I spread it out in 2 feedings. We are the ones caring for them and policing their diets to ensure their well-being, so do not let your cichlids overeat. Mbuna tend to be the highest risk of intestinal ailments. Being herbivores, They have long intestines made to absorb proteins from the fibrous materials in algae they consume. Fasting your cichlids once a week is also a good idea, as it will help purge their intestinal tract on a regular basis. Be careful in this, as cichlids are aggressive and hungry cichlids can be even more so. This is where you will find the predatory cichlids differ from the others. Since they prey on high-protein food, naturally, they are quite well adapted to going for longer periods of time between meals. They may not come as readily to eat, as they are not wired to feed non-stop. It is something you should watch for. I personally feel they learn from each other and soon realize food is good anytime. Foods that can be supplemented are veggies, such as zucchini, peas, lettuce, cucumbers, and any foods high in beta-carotene, like your dark leafy green vegetables, which are natural color enhancers. Protein forms of food like frozen bloodworms, krill, and earthworms are wonderful treats in small amounts. Brine shrimp can be fed occasionally, but brine shrimp is not high in nutritional value and has been known to cause Malawi bloat if fed too much or too often. Spirulina is a plant-based food that is more of a bacteria form than an algae, and is a superfood for your fish and even us humans as well. If possible, spirulina should make up 70% of your fish's diet. It is readily available and easy to feed. Because of its high nutritional content, it may take a day or two to acclimatize your fish to this new addition in their diet. Hunger can be a good encouragement. My cichlids get their spirulina in a powder form. I sprinkle the powder over their pellet food that they consume, and they eat it without even knowing it. I will leave a link at the bottom of this video of a video I did on spirulina and how it is truly a magic food. I cannot stress enough how important it is not to overfeed your fish. There are many repercussions to this that in time could be fatal to your fish and even the health of your entire aquarium. Overfeeding can lead to the most issues that threaten the life and well-being of your cichlids. Overfeeding or overeating causes overexertion, which in turn cause your nitrates to rise. Actually, the nitrates in our aquariums are in direct correlation to our feeding habits. Overfeeding will affect our bioload, not just by the food that is left to decompose, but also the waste produced by your fish. All of this is detrimental to the well-being of your aquarium health. Save yourself the heartache and feed your cichlids only what they can consume in 3 seconds at each feeding. When I feed my cichlids, rarely does even one morsel hit the substrate. And one more little note. If your fish are overeating, the chances of them breeding drop dramatically. So feed your fish wisely. It's good to have them eager for food. They will be healthier, more lively, display brighter colors, and happy to breed for you, all while you sit back and know you are providing the best care possible. You will reap the reward of watching an amazing community of healthy and vibrant fish. So until next time, this is Deb Tim signing out. I hope you're having an awesome week. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be talking to you soon. Bye.